photography initially started for me like back in high school. I was like a yearbook photographer, and it was nothing crazy. It was just like a hobby, and it was all on film back then, and just taking photos, and it was pretty cool. But then after that, I really didn't have a specific hobby or interest in photography where I had a camera on hand. There was like little point and shoots that I had that, just like anybody else, and would take a picture here or there at a party or something like that. But it was maybe about 15 years ago. I was working for this company that they brought me on board, not as a photographer, but as kind of like a business strategist type thing. It was right after I got my MBA at University of Miami, and I was just like, all right, how do I build businesses and do this? And this guy brought me on to, find a cool new way to get, it was a credit card processing business. And, it was just like really stale, like, hitting up merchants like, oh, can we handle your credit card processing?
Yeah.
So I found this program that was like brand new at the time that Google launched. It's called Google Business View. So it's basically Street View, where it's the 360 for the inside of businesses, and they just launched it. So I was like, why don't we, bring this to the credit card processing business, and something fresh and new, and we partnered with all these photographers around the nation that were trained for this Google 360 view. And then it was like a cool new way to get in with these businesses. And then I was sitting in the office at that time from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Yeah, I was going in at dark, leaving after dark. All my friends and stuff were like surfing, and I'm like, I can't even do this stuff. Like, what am I doing in this office? And then I was like, something started, clicking for me. I was like, these photographers that I talk to all day, they're going in and shooting a business, and they're done in like a couple hours, and it's on to the next, and they're out in the field. And then I want to just, you know, dip my toes in the water and kind of see what they were doing anyways, because I needed to, I'm pitching this to businesses, and I needed to know
Yeah.
the ins and outs. So I got a camera and just started doing that. And
See you
then I was,
later.
yeah, pretty much like after a few months, I was like, well, I enjoy doing this photography part way more than sitting in the office and like, doing all that stuff. So then I pretty much, yeah, just like quit the job right there. And then I was like, okay, I'm this 360 photographer that also has to take like some regular shots. Like, I don't want to be like faking it. So I just like started getting obsessed with the camera at the same time, and going to I'm really like a nature landscape abstract guy. That's kind of where my eye just pulls me. So I was like deep dive into the camera, like different settings. Like I never went to school for this stuff, so I just needed to like immerse myself. And when I started doing that, like one of the first clients that I had doing like all these 360 tours and other stuff was for this national hotel brand, and pretty much got all the California hotels, and that was like literally like hundreds of hotels that I had to shoot in like the next year or so. And it was going like from one hotel to the next. It could have been like a roadway in by a truck stop, or it could have been it was all over the place. And
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, I would go shoot the hotel. It'd take a few hours, and then I would have like the rest of the day to like travel or get to the next place. And I would be like, in NorCal, and like, okay, what's near me where I can just like, do something, get lost in the woods. I'd find a redwood forest, or I'd be like by some crazy, cliff over here. And that's where I just really like fell in love. I was by myself
Yeah.
on the road, and I was just, playing with settings, long exposures, just fiddling around with the camera, trying to make, things work and make, cool stuff. And I was like, this is what I'm into. This is what I'm going to do.
You're being an artist.
So,
Yeah.
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 So, and I never had any intentions to like shoot people. Like that's like one thing that I was like, I'm not into this. Like I could shoot like hotels, architectural things. The nature stuff was all at my own pace, abstract, just getting weird with the camera. And just shooting people, it was just like, I'm not the type of person that like directs people like, oh yeah, pose here, do this. And
I
that
think
didn't come
that's,
until later. Yeah.
well, I was just going to say, sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say that's why I think you do so good at these stadium shots, like your crowd shots, I think are probably the best in this, probably the best in our scene. And I think they're the most kind of striking and eye-catching, and they bring you in, you feel something. But I think that that plays into that a lot because it is, I mean, it is kind of a landscape. There's people there, but it's still a landscape. And I think your
Yeah.
way that it just becomes like uh, you have a way of making like not necessarily the stage the focal point, but just like kind of wrapping up the experience into a really pretty package. And that's such a
Thank you.
nuanced kind of it's such a nuanced talent. And I feel like a lot of photographers, they can't really put their finger on why their crowd shots don't look that great. But this like totally makes sense now. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their own eye, and it's like a lot of people in the concert photography scene. It's like they are portrait photographers, and they wanted to always be a concert photographer. I mean, and there's shots that I absolutely love from all different photographers, but at the same time, I'm like, I could never shoot that shot because I have weird things in my mind, like coming from like the architectural landscape world where like I just always see things with like kind of like straight lines, like straight horizons. And that is my approach to concert photography. Because yeah, I never had the intention to ever be a concert photographer. I've had friends, in the concert world, I played music, and it's just like music's always been, just kind of like what's in my blood. And it wasn't until like Chris Scott like literally said like next time you come to the show, bring your camera. And I was just like, all right, it's like I just shooting people and like stuff like that. That's just not my thing. But
Okay. When was that? And what show was it?
uh I think it was sometime in like 2014 or 2015, a show in San Diego, stupid, uh, down at the amphitheater in Chula Vista. I forget who they were playing with. I used to go to all the shows.
Yeah.
I was friends with those guys. I used to be in a band in college, and that the initial time when I connected with them, like we opened a couple shows, like I think in Florida, and kind of always been friends with like the management and stuff since then. And
Yeah.
yeah, and now years after, it's like yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about. I mean, it's just I'm happy to be here. I'm definitely blessed to be in the shoes I'm in. Um, and it's a good time, and I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't a good time, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I love kind of the life cycle or like just seeing the journey of a lot of creatives that like do like the path that they're like you have an MBA. I didn't know you had an MBA. That's crazy. That's like crazy. That's like 6 years of school, like that's insane. But just like people that are so overwhelmingly like creative, like inherently creative like you are, and like just thinking about you going to school for an MBA is like so comical to me because you're so good at what you do in this creative role. And just like I love seeing that like change because you're like thriving, like you're doing great, like it's just really cool. And you're happy doing what you're doing, you love what you do, and that's like you can tell it's great.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's like the NBA thing. It's just like I didn't know what I wanted to do. That was
Yeah.
the thing. It was like I was playing music through college. It was like academics wasn't a focus at all. I was just having a good time playing music and all this stuff. And then when like our band, which we were just like a live jam band that played like funk and had a little twist of reggae, whatever. When we broke up, it was like, okay, like what do I do now? And it's just like,
Yeah.
all right, let's kick the can down the road. Like, okay, now I guess I'll go to grad school or something. But it's like I didn't have any focus or any
Yeah.
plans to do any. I live every day, by the day. It's like I
Yeah.
like to have a good time. I like to surf as much as possible, and it's just I let things just happen as they happen, and
Yeah.
that's my route to get here. And everybody's completely different, but hey, that was my route.
Well, and I think it's funny too, doing all those hotels in that year or whatever. That's like you already prepared yourself for what life was like on tour. You're like, oh, done. I know I can do it. I already know.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, like touring is such a small part of, my yearly capacity. It's like I tour during the summer, with Stick, with Stupid, and do, festivals and shows here or there, closer to the sun's coming up. And I always am happy to be down there in Mexico. But I mean, other than that, it's like I'm not like this road dog that's always on the road or
Yeah.
like, the majority of the year. And I'm not interested in doing
Yeah.
that just because I need a balance. It's like I like to wake up the butt crack of dawn every single day and go surf before the sun gets up. And that's my like daily routine. You go on tour and I'm not going to bed at my 8, 9 o'clock bedtime. It's flipping everything on its head. I'm going to bed late, but then I still wake up early. So then you just go into zombie mode.
Yeah.
All the other content creators on tour will know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so it's a nice balance. It's like it's nice to get in there, and be in that world for a while, and then let it stop. And like I won't go to another concert for like a couple months,
Yeah.
and and I think it keeps me fresh too because after going through a whole tour and you're going through the similar set list every day, and you want to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
And I
It's
feel like
easy to
when
get burnt
you're
out.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And when I have a good break where it's just like, all right, I haven't shot a concert or anything in a while, I just have like a new, fresh, take on everything, and it just keeps it fresh.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, I mean, that's how I just need that life work, that life concert life balance.
Yeah. Well, and I love watching your Instagram because I'm, born and raised Oceanside. You live in Oceanside. I love all your Oceanside content. It always makes me super happy. But like, are you from Oceanside? I know, like, you surf there all the time. That's why I love watching. I love seeing the ocean. I love seeing the pier. You're always big into that. But like, where are you from and or when did you go to Oceanside?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Florida. I'm a Florida man.
Oh,
Uh, yeah.
oh,
Born in
okay.
Miami, raised in like Fort Lauderdale area,
Okay.
and then went to college up in Tallahassee at Florida State. I was there for like 4-ish years, and then moved to Orlando with the band, and then after that went back to grad school in Miami. And after that, I was like, I am done with Florida. I want to go somewhere where I could surf more. And at that time, it was like the stupid guys like showing the whole OB area, like
Oh,
Ocean Beach. I was just like, that's what I want to do. That's where I want to be. So literally like right after grad school, just booked a one-way ticket to San Diego and crashed on a French couch for a little bit. Then we rented a few places. My wife moved over from Florida or from New York, sorry, when we first started dating, and just like started making it happen. We're in PB to Ocean Beach, then to Encinitas, and then when our daughter was on the way, bought a place in Oceanside a little over a decade ago, and now Oceanside is home. Just
yeah.
love being a fabric of this community. Everybody is so great and creative. There's a great surf here, and yeah, we have Katie Simmers, the new girls champion this year from Oceanside. So there's a lot of good things going surf wise in Oceanside for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, Oceanside is it's just iconic. It's so iconic. It's such a great blend of so many different kind of like subcultures of San Diego, SoCal, but it's like low key still. And like the beaches are great. The pier is great, even though it burned. But
Yeah, yeah, that was
the
crazy to watch.
downtown area, South O, is just so incredibly cool. Such great food. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's blowing up. When's the last time you were over here?
A couple of months ago, I went to go see my girlfriend that I went to elementary school with because I went to Ivy Ranch, and then she still lives on Apple Street.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. So all the things that are going. I
Yeah,
mean, there's been a lot of change since we've been here, a little over a decade. But yeah, it's
the
definitely
downtown
changing.
area, the downtown pier area, unrecognizable. It was like, I mean, even 10 years ago, it was like seedy still, kind of like not that nice, like
Yeah, yeah.
like grimy kind of, which I like. I think that was part of the charm of it. You look so pretty. I think that's part of the charm of it, but now it's,
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's definitely, changed. A lot of the old school people that have been here, don't want to see change and the gentrification, but over time, everything, eventually gentrifies, especially in
Yeah.
a coastal California town. And Oceanside definitely still has its grit and its flavor, but there's more restaurants and breweries and things like that around town now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is nice. I love being here, and there's just so many creative people. It's just great to be a fabric of the community.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I love that, I thought you were from there. You just, yeah, fit in
Yeah,
great.
no, I'm a transplant.
You got your best friend Dave there.
Yeah, yeah. Dave, yeah, he's thriving. He just got his own spot here. During COVID, we lured him down, and he was staying with us in our shed for a few years, and now he's crushing it. He's either on tour with the movement or he's working at the Belly Up as a house sound guy,
Amazing.
and yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I saw him at Everwild right after I saw you. I hadn't seen him in
yeah. He was there like a
a
day or
year or
two
two,
after.
maybe, but yeah, he's crushing it. Um,
Yeah.
okay. I know all the photographers are going to want to know. Can you give us a rig rundown? Can you tell us what gear you're using and what your go-tos are?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a Canon guy, and a few years ago I made the switch from DSLR to mirrorless,
Mhm.
and I use a couple Canon R5s currently. And lens-wise, for concerts, I like to have the flexibility. Like I love prime lenses, but for me and my eye and the compositions that I look for I have to kind of be like with a prime lens you have to like zoom in
Yeah.
and out with your body and you don't always have that much wiggle room to physically move during a show so I use zoom lenses for the most part and it's pretty much the holy trinity pretty much a wide angle which is 15 to 35 2.8 2470 2.8 and then 70 200 2.8 and then for wide angle like the past few years I've been using fisheye and the guys like absolutely love that I've actually tried to get a new lens to replace the fisheye just because it was getting I fish eyes are probably like 25% or 20% of like the actual shots I shoot during a show. But
I feel like
when
it's
Steve and
become your
Stick would be posting stuff,
signature.
it'd be like 9 out of 10 shots would be
Yeah.
fisheye. And I'm like, I take other shots too. So I was like secretly trying to wean them off that fisheye look. And I got this like super wide angle rectilinear, which means it has straight lines, a 1020. That's a f4. And I got that, but it didn't really replace the fisheye, like because I don't know, it's another weird quirk that I what my eye looks for, like kind of if I'm using a rectilinear lens and it's not like straight and horizontal and it's kind of like angled down, like if I was like say like behind the band trying to go wide and like looking down, um, it's just the way the lines look to me sometimes. I'm just like a weird thing with me. And it could be a completely fine picture, but like, for me, it's just weird. So the fisheye really does well with like
Yeah.
those wide shots and it's not rectilinear. So it like, rounds it out. And there's just things that I found and fell in love with the fisheye over the past few years that it's like not really replaceable. And, I don't want to be known as like, oh, the fisheye guy, but there's like
Wait,
certain things
sorry.
yeah, no, at all, not at all. But it's fun to kind of bring what I naturally look for in like landscape photography and architectural type stuff, and then bring that funky fisheye lens, with that theory in my mind. And I don't know, I feel like it works pretty well. My clients that, that use me for photography also like it. So it's like, I'm not going to shy away from it. There's no right or wrongs in
Yeah.
photography. So
Well, and
that's what you got to remember.
if it's not broke, don't fix it. But also back to the whole crowd thing, that's always the goal, right? It's like, how can I make this crowd look the biggest possible? And the
Yeah.
fisheye does that. It brings in everything, it centers it around a main, like it checks
Yeah,
all the boxes and it makes sense. I get it. I get it. I get it.
yeah, you can make things just like, pretty dramatic with that type of lens.
Exactly.
So, especially if you get close or far, there's just there's no rules, so it's just like do what you think, looks good to you.
Yeah.
And, that's all that really matters. I mean, there's like things with me and like shooting, like say somebody on stage, like I can't physically edit a photo, if I do take a photo where it's like cutting the person off at the shins or something like that, and I don't see the feet. Like I like to see like the
Yeah.
ground, like and have something grounded. And if it's not like showing full feet, then I have to have it like thigh up or something like that. Because
Yeah.
if it's just like the feet missing for me, it's just like I just can't even,
No, I
there's
know.
other people that take shots that do that and they look freaking awesome. But like for me, for some reason, it's just one of my weird quirks. It's just like I'm not gonna edit that.
We all have our own imaginary rules.
Yeah, 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 but there's no rules. That's the best part of photography. If there was rules, I probably wouldn't be here, because I don't know I never went to school for this. It's just like I like to do what comes naturally to me and how I taught myself, and I don't like rules. I like to step over those rules if there are rules.
I think that's great advice for anyone trying to get into any type of creative job. Like that's great advice. Just
Yeah, yeah, like literally be yourself, and
yeah.
that's the best thing you could possibly do. I
Yeah.
mean, it's nice to take inspiration and ideas from other people that you look up to, but in a creative role, absolutely,
I
like
mean,
don't follow like anybody. Just take little pieces of inspiration and make it yourself. Do what makes you happy.
totally. I love that. And I think it's great. And that's why like I think you're a creator artist that I really do love watching, observing because you have this kind of cadence that you follow and like you're really really good at what you do and you're very kind of unapologetically you to a T, but in a way that like makes sense. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Like I
Yeah,
don't
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, it's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love seeing creatives thrive, I guess is my point. Can I ask you a non-photo question, like a
Yeah,
non-music question, since we were talking about Oceanside? What are your
absolutely.
top five favorite places to eat or get coffee in Oceanside?
To eat or get coffee,
In
that
Oceanside.
is a tough one, because there's so many good spots, so many great coffee spots, and well, there's Captain's Ground, great local spot. Get a cup of Joe, no problem. One of my favorite spots is actually just over the city line of Oceanside, right into Carlsbad. It's still 5 minutes from the house. Steady State, and they have the most killer beans, killer espresso, and we actually just got an espresso machine at our house this past year. So with that, we've been getting steady state beans and just keeping the espressos going during the day, just right at the house. It's kind of dangerous, but there's a couple other great spots. Camp Coffee is also really good. We also got Revolution Roasters. We got Vigilante. There's just so many great places to get a cup of coffee or latte, whatever, in Oceanside. It's kind of overwhelming, to be honest. And then food wise, the food scene is amazing out here. There's constantly new restaurants opening, it seems like every single month. But Privateer has always been one of our local favorites. If we would just want to pop in, get a coal fire pizza or anything else that they have, absolutely phenomenal. Let's see what else. All Mine, great ingredients, no seed oils, like epic lasagna, killer spot to go. Right on the 101 there. Um, Flying Pig is another one that is awesome. Staple. I don't know. Those are probably like the ones we go to most, but there's
Yeah.
so much good. good food in Oceanside, and then also just south in Carlsbad. Also, that they're like sister cities, and
Yeah.
everything is within like 5 minutes, and it's just incredible how much good food you have here.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It really is, especially that kind of like South O downtown area. Really
Yeah.
quick, this is not speaking of food. How long have you lived in Oceanside?
I've been here just over 10 years, going on
Okay.
11.
Do you remember the killer pizza from Mars? It was like off
Yeah.
mission. That
Yep. Yep. Still
like
there.
it's still that was like our favorite spot. And it used to be in the shopping center by Albertsons, like right where the mission is, where the library is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It had these like gigantic like vaulted ceilings and like the craziest like okay, so for those of you that don't know, Killer Pizza from Mars is this like pizza place, but it's like space themed, and they have like an insane amount of space memorabilia like Star Wars, Star Trek, Mars Attack, and literally anything like outer space related is covering every single inch of this place. And
Out
but
of
also
this world.
really really good. But that's just like such a like literal core memory of my childhood for me. But yeah, I always
Wow. Yeah.
here in a while I should go back.
Yeah, you should. I haven't been there in a minute. There's just so much new pizza
I
around. It's
know.
like I feel like when we first moved here, that was like one of the OG places, and we'd
Yeah,
get like pies to go or whatever. But now there's just like so much more.
I
It just
know.
yeah, it's
Closer to you too.
totally,
Yeah.
totally.
Well, that's cool, dude. Thank you so much. Like I said, I've been trying to get you on this for a while. I'm so glad we finally did. Thank you for chatting.